Good morning, everybody. I had to do it a second time because my mic was on mute. Everyone is doing fantastic. We've got a good today and a brief show. We're going to talk about how I fail at 75 hard, but more importantly, how I get back on 75 hard. This week has been an awesome week. I hope you've had an awesome week, but it's had its ups and downs for the habits I'm trying to create. And of course, I am trying my first attempt at 75 hard. So I'm going to share with you the way I try to fail well at 75 hard and get back on that pony, even though that timeline keeps stretching. It's super annoying. But before that, we're going to skip other news and just talk about morning cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for this morning? I need to hear from you in the comments. What are you grateful for? What has happened this week that no matter how much tumult or how tumultuous the week was, something good had to have happened that you can look at and say, man, I am super grateful for that thing. And I'm going to start. Let's talk about morning cup of gratitude. Great. I'm grateful for two things this week. Well, three actually. I had one employee out, and that employee had to move and was moving to a new city, a new state. And our team was able to step in without a problem and navigate most all of our client needs. In that time, we also found a sudden rise from interest in a secret growth niche that we've been working on. And so we're super grateful for that. It's been very good growth so far and very promising. So I'm looking forward to that. And then I made it all the way to day 10 of my 75 hard. I felt like a baller. I felt strong. I felt ready to rock. And then suddenly, lo and behold, I failed. And we're going to talk about that real briefly, how I fail at these things and how I try to fail forward, if you will. But the ritual I do, the return ritual I do, that actually helps me get right back on the pony. And then how this week I failed. I made it to day 10. I failed. I started out again, failed that day. I started out, I let a second day go, and I started out with the intentionality the second day, and then I failed then too. So I did my ritual this morning, and we're back on it this morning. So how I fail forward, I'm going to share with you the mental, physical, and emotional triggers I use in my favor to get back on a big goal. Let's talk about it. So I consider myself a pretty strong badass when it comes to self-discipline. I am a chaotic person in general. Anyone who's worked with me will tell you that. But I think I've done pretty good over my life to wrangle that in. And I've got a lot of good systems for myself, and I'm not chaos free. But as it comes to personal, physical self-discipline, I'm generally a very disciplined person. Of late, I've been getting up at 3 a.m. I got a lot of goals I'm working on. Yes, I do go to bed between 7 and 8. But I've been getting up pretty consistently at 3 a.m. and making life happen. I have a long runway to do my quiet time, do my workouts, and as it comes to 75 hard, to do my first 40-minute workout. I put on my headset, listen to my book, and go walking around the town. Actually, we're right within walking distance of the city, and that's done pretty well. I drink my first half gallon of water before anyone else in the world even wakes up. And as you know, with 75 hard, you're required to drink a full gallon of water. So you guys know the rules. And if you don't, comment and I'll share some of the rules. So my rules are no alcohol, work out twice a day for 40 minutes each. And one of those workouts has to be outside, which is my morning walk or my morning run. I'm also doing a couch to 5K. So I'm using my morning runs. You're doing it 7 days a week. So I alternate between a hard run and then a couch to 5K. And so I've got this good momentum. I get up at 3 a.m. I get that done. If I'm doing the show this morning, I've got a long runway at 3 a.m. to get ready for my 6:30 show. If I don't have a show that morning, I can record videos for the Patreon or the Discord. I can read, which is really important, or just get ahead on some work, which are generally how I do the mornings. And then sometimes I pick up morning meetings between that 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. hour. So I had 2 morning meetings between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. this week. So that's kind of my week. That's how I get a lot of stuff in. And yes, most people are partying into the evening. But That doesn't always work for me. So that's how I've been doing it. And I surprised myself over a week and a half ago where I just started on a Saturday and I just went all the way through to Tuesday. Tuesday, great day. And that afternoon, suddenly life got busy. Suddenly life got completely slammed. And as I was busy Tuesday, I thought, oh, well, I can let one workout go. And then we visited some friends. And as we visited friends, they served up the world's most delicious lasagna. Now, generally speaking, this lasagna was keto friendly, it was dietary friendly. So I had a piece. And then it became 8:30 at night, and I had another piece. And then they pulled out the key lime pie from Publix. And if you know anything about key lime pie from Publix, you know it's the best freaking key lime pie on the planet. So by that moment, I had gone 10 days. I was tired. I was starving. My body was hurting from the workouts because I go hard at my workouts. And here I was 2 pieces of lasagna, 2 Rice Krispie treats, and a key lime pie into the evening, already up well past the normal time. So I already knew I missed my afternoon workout. I missed my diet. And I'd cut myself a little bit of slack for that splash of wine I had because no alcohol. But I knew the next morning workout wasn't going to happen. And if the next morning workout wasn't going to happen, then the next day's worth of 75 hard wouldn't happen. So I thought, I'm going to start over. I have to. If I have integrity and honesty, and these are the rules, I have to start over. And what I like about 75 hard is it creates this very dilemma. The dilemma of momentum being lost. 10 days into 75 hard, you've got a good chance, right? You're like 1/7, almost 1/7 of the way through. That's less than 1/10 of the way through. That's serious. And it took all of my strength, but I eventually lost the battle and I decided to let it rest. So I let the next day rest. Then I woke up that was Wednesday, and I thought, well, I'm still not going to go to town. But that day we had to have, for some reason, we had to have, and that's on me, chocolate silk pie. So Tuesday was shot. My diet's off. My water's off. My workouts are off. And since my morning workout was off, and since I was off of 75 hard, I didn't do my afternoon workout. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see how momentum gets lost? Do you see how you psych yourself out and say, well, if I didn't this, I might as well not that? So I whipped out my ritual of return, and this is a recently codified thing for me, and it's this. I need physical, mental, and emotional triggers to get back into the swing immediately, to not drag out a loss into a multiple day loss. You can have a 0 day. When Marissa does hiking, she hikes miles and miles and miles, but every now and again, she just needs a 0 day. I give myself a 0 day, but a 0 day can't turn into a 0 3 days and then a 0 week. You got to look for the best ways to have the best physical, mental, and emotional triggers to get you back in alignment. Here are mine. I recommend you find your own. It's different for guys and girls and how you do it in times of the season you're in, times of the month you're in. There's all kinds of physical triggers that can help or hurt the cause. You need to find the physical trigger that helps the cause. So my biggest physical trigger is this. I love growing my facial hair out. I do not enjoy being beardless to being whiskerless. I don't like it. So when I start over, I force myself to shave. Now, I do like the act of shaving. There's something about the act of shaving that's like putting on this armor and getting your head absolutely resilient. There's something about when you shave, you feel clean. So instead of like feeling like I failed at 75 hard and then doing something that makes me feel worse, physically, it makes me feel better. But there is a very ancient tradition that when someone is full of shame, they shave. Or if someone has been shamed, they're forced to shave. Their enemy will come and shave their beard or trim their beard. I don't prefer being cleanly shaven. It is a physical disincentive for me. So on days that I fail and days that I'm committing to starting over, I'll wake up and I'll clean up my beard. I'll also do my hair. I'll do a physical thing, but I'm also committed to not cutting my hair until I have finished a full 75 hard. So I have this physical trigger of shaving. That's both evidence of my shame, the biblical evidence of my shame, but also a way to clean up, clear out my head and say, I'm starting over, I'm starting fresh. It's a physical trigger. And then there's a second physical trigger, and that is return to the absolute smallest atomic habit. If you haven't read Atomic Habits, I recommend you do. The smallest atomic habit step, and that is take a 40-minute walk. Just take the walk. Put on the earbuds and walk out the door. You don't have to work out, don't have to sprint, don't have to run. Just go for the walk. Now, this physical triggers are the easiest beginning point. I haven't done any psych. I haven't psyched myself up. I haven't had any major emotional triggers yet per se. I just did the physical things. And then that dominoes into the mental triggers. Here's the mental trigger. When I'm doing my 40-minute walk, I also will listen to edifying audio, spiritual development, or skill development in my industry. Right now, I'm listening to a lot of marketing material. I'm trying to acquire the knowledge, the world's knowledge on marketing. I'm doing this right now. And I'm trying to understand the ins and outs of marketing versus messaging versus advertising. So as I've done the physical trigger of going on the walk, I'm not just walking and ruminating. I'm not ruminating on the fact that I got to start 75 hard over, because technically, if I just missed one workout or one day, I didn't technically lose 10 days of working out. I didn't lose 10 days of being keto. I lost that weight. I built up that physique. I can carry that forward. And even though the counting starts over, I didn't lose my entire physique. So I'm not going to ruminate in my head that I have to start over. So instead, I drop in that audio, which edifies the fact that I'm a disciplined person. So I've already shaved. So that's the thing. I did a clean shaven ritual. Then I go for my walk. So now I'm reinforcing that, hey, I fall, but I get back on this pony. And then immediately I start listening. When I know that I'm studying, I have that TikTok meme that circulates in my brain, and it's this. Am I better than everyone? Shame on me. But this idea that you're able to get up at 3 a.m, be disciplined. Good morning, Brock. Good morning, Rude. I'm just seeing your likes come through. I hope you guys are doing great this morning. So when I fall off the horse and I want to get back on the horse, I do this ritual. I shave, I go for a walk, and then I start studying, because in studying, that edifies my mind. It also gives me something else to think about. And I stop ruminating immediately that it's day one. I've already won nearly half the battle. So I've done the physical triggers, shave, go for a walk. Now I'm doing the mental triggers where I'm affirming to myself that I am disciplined, I am focused, I'm a learner, I'm not a tool. I'm relearning these things. And so in listening to the audiobook while I go for my walk, I cover the other part of 75 Hard, which is, read or listen to what amounts to 10 pages of material. And I'm focused on this material, and no one has interrupted my thinking. So I've also done the programming. This is actually the best time of day to do the programming, because no other inputs have invaded my brain. I don't look at my cell phone. I don't look at social media. I just get right into the audio. So I've the impression I have myself first thing in the morning is cleanly shaven. That's the ritual. It's embarrassing. I don't like to be cleanly shaven. It's not embarrassing, but I don't like to be cleanly shaven, but I've gone through the ritual, but I'm also cleanly shaven, and I'm focused, and I'm saying to myself and to the world, I'm starting over today. I go for my walk, and now I'm listening. So I've done the physical triggers and the mental triggers. And that's what leads to the emotional triggers. Now, emotions are funny, and I want you to actually take a minute to observe your emotions. Emotions in a void can be deceiving. Follow me on this. If you experience one emotion over long enough, you'll become acclimated to it, because the neurochemistry gets acclimated, and we're humans, we get acclimated. So when me and Marissa lived in the Dominican Republic, there was a lot of joy from the trip, but joy eventually turned into boredom. What am I going to do? This is great. Marissa's off doing scuba dive instructing. I'm riding and swimming in a pool every day. And eventually, this very strong high, I got acclimated to it, and it didn't give me that serotonin bump, that oxytocin bump, that endorphin bump. It didn't give me that bump, and I got acclimated to it, and eventually that actually turned into a depression. Emotions themselves, A, do not happen in a void. B, the benefits of them do not happen in a static way. What I'm saying is that emotions are defined by their opposites. You cannot feel joy if you did not come out of a moment of sadness or depression or have not at least experienced it. It's literally the swing of emotion that defines the emotion you're experiencing. And there's other lessons there. We shouldn't think that we could be joyful all the time. We shouldn't think that we will be depressed all the time. We should just notice it and move on. But that's not the point here on getting back on a habit like 75 hard or whatever habit you're forming, a workout habit, a relational habit, a writing habit, getting ready for your beach body, improving your business. My dude, Billy Weigel, this guy's getting on a cruise this morning. Get it, son. He's going to be enjoying himself on a cruise, and he and I are going to be jamming. And he's a killer investor. We're going to be bringing him on the show and interviewing him a little bit. We've got to coordinate that, I think, again. Yes, actually, we got it on the calendar, I believe. But regardless, so to get back on a habit, whether it's 75 hard, for me, a fitness habit, a water habit, something to that for you. Physical triggers, fine. That does two things. That makes you feel good, but also is something you prefer. I don't prefer to be beardless, so I shave. Mental trigger, listen to audio, affirm yourself. And in listening to audio, this affirms that I'm a disciplined person. So I've had the mental trigger that I can do this and I can get right back on the source. I can get right back into state. And that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get into the state of mind of getting back onto this momentum that you had, like in my case, for 10 days. And then the emotional trigger. If we can recognize that the emotional triggers are swings. I was on a 10-day high of how disciplined I had been. And it actually felt good to feel bad, if that makes sense. I was on this emotional buzz for the first 2 or 3 days were tough, but after that, like 7 straight days of I'm getting up at 3, I'm doing my workouts, I'm doing my first workout, I get through this water, get through coffee, I ate right all day, and the eating just falls into place when I do this, by the way. Like, I don't even have to mention the diet because the diet just happens automatically when I've done the other things. The dominoes start falling together. And then the toughest thing is cutting away for the afternoon workout in spite of all the busyness I have, all the work, all the businesses, all the projects, the NFTs that we're working on, the spring workshops that we're doing for marketing, all the stuff we're doing. All of that gets in the way of the one goal I'm actually working on, and that is my 75 hard fitness. Getting away for 45 minutes to an hour in the middle of the afternoon, forget about it if you don't have momentum. So with the physical triggers and the mental triggers, and then that leads to a ton of micro triggers, the food triggers, then I have this emotional trigger of when I failed. I went from this high to this low, and I didn't, and the energy it would take to whip back up into a high state was just too much. And so I've had my 75 hard broken for 3 days. Now I'm going to use that in my favor. The physical trigger of the shave, the workout, the mental trigger of listening to the audio and then affirming to myself that, no, I am a badass. I just missed a few days, but I still have 10 solid days of a good frame built for me, a good momentum built for me. I've got this emotional trigger where I felt really low, and now I feel a little better. I leap on the little bit. A lot of times there's, hey, how do you feel? And someone will say, well, I feel like a 1. I feel like killing myself. Or I feel like a 4. I'm just really depressed. I'm lethargic. Can't do anything. And do we expect them to go to a 9 or a 10? No, in coaching and in therapy, you say, well, how do we get you from a 1 to a 2? How do we get you from a 4 to a 5? Just 1 unit today. How do we do that? And you find that you crawl yourself emotionally out of whole. So as it comes to this emotional trigger of, I'm just in this emotional state of, God, it's so much easier to eat French silk pie and to drink my awesome bourbon in the house than it is to just drink water, go to bed early, and work out. That emotion from the emotional swell of momentum. I do the physical because it's important, but I also do it to build towards an emotional state. The mental trigger of listening to audio, I do that because it edifies me and it has a mental affirmation of, yeah, I am a badass. But I do all that to give myself 1 point better emotional state. And then the transition from a 1 to a 2 or a 4 to a 5, or in my case, I wake up, I'm a 6 when I'm feeling down because I messed up 75 hard, to go from a 6 to a 7. That change itself is enough temperature change. Like, when your house went from 69 degrees to 70 degrees. You know it. I know it. When that temperature shift and my emotions have shifted, and then I grab onto that. For example, I wasn't going to do a show today, and I knew because my 75 hard had been, my emotional bandwidth wasn't there. Boom. Billy jumps in and says, reminder, we all have times we fall off. Let's not beat ourselves up about it. Exactly. Just get back on track. Realize we're all human. Try your best to enjoy the ride. And then I love his follow-up here. Boom. And surrounding yourselves by the right people to encourage us in those times is more and more important the more successful we get. And I want to zero in on this. This is really important real quick, and then I'll wrap up emotional triggers. You guys can all get off to work, and Billy can get on to his cruise. I only have one person in my life encouraging me right now. Now, I know that my wife and my friends believe in me, right? We just know cognitively that the people around us believe we'll do something good. And as an extrovert, none of the people around me think I need encouragement. They think I'm good. And I am. I am good because I don't get encouragement. There's one person in my life, my good, and to his credit, James Joseph, he's been a great friend. We've been meeting for masterminds for years, Tuesday mornings at 6 a.m. at coffee. We've been doing this for years. And we're now working on these spring workshops together. We've done business together. This is the only person who goes out of his way to just say, I encourage you. Now, I know that women have their own story, but I know for sure I've been having a lot of one-on-ones with men lately, confessing business challenges and emotional challenges and relational challenges. And I have yet to meet a male that doesn't start with the fact that I'm so glad we met. It's been so encouraging. No one is encouraging me. You can be a self-sustaining perpetual motion machine, but ladies and friends, ladies and men, please encourage the men around you. If they are failing you and quitting, they just have not been on one level getting a lot of encouragement. I highly recommend, as Billy says, surround yourself by the right people. Hey, Billy, if you're still watching, why on earth do I keep doing the show and keep inviting badasses to the show? In part, I need to learn. I want to level up. I want to be surrounded by people who are badasses and better than me. I want to be encouraging people. I'm not actively encouraged in my walk. And I think most people are experiencing that too. And so going back to how we get back on track for our goals, physical, mental triggers, the emotional trigger, if you can move yourself from a 4 to a 5, from a 6 to a 7, that emotional momentum, because the emotional difference from a 4 and a 5, from a 6 to a 7 does not sound like much. But if you've ever been depressed at a 1, you know the emotional difference between a 1 and a 2 is suicide or not. The emotional difference between a 2 and a 3 is getting out of bed and feeding yourself and taking a shower. The emotional difference from a 3 to a 4 is checking in on the work and responsibilities you have and doing some sort of meaningful work. The difference between a 4 and a 5 is talking to other people and maybe even going out. The difference between a 5 and a 6 is meeting with a friend. The difference between a 6 and a 7 is thinking you're going to do something. The emotional trigger happens if you can just notice the shift from a 1 to a 2, from a 4 to a 5, from wherever you're 6 to a 7. So trigger, mind driving, and for a 40-minute walk in early parts of the morning. Number 2, the mental triggers, listening to just industry audio. And I start to reaffirm, hey man, I'm out here doing this thing. I'm doing the thing. I'm looking around. I don't see another soul at 3 in the morning walking around, getting their exercise in, listening to audio or running or anything. And that affirms something to me, that I am willing to do today what others aren't willing to do, so I can do tomorrow what others can't do. Hear me on that. Hear that quote again. Do today what others aren't willing to do so that you can do tomorrow what others can't do. Not that you're better than anyone else, but you have to take a temperature. If you look around you and you don't see people running at 4, you don't have to do it at 3. That's ridiculous, right? But if you get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, you go exercise and look around, there's not that many people out. There's some. And why is that important? Because chances are, if you talk to these people don't bitch and complain. Chances are, if you talk to people like that, they are not complaining. Oh, here we go. Boom. This is a great one. Billy's own version of this. Live like no one else now so you can live like no one else later. Is that David Ramsey, the financial guru? I'm pretty sure he's referring to David Ramsey. Great quote there, Billy. So the last one, emotional trigger. If you can get the physical going, you'll actually start to get the neurochemistry working in your favor. Then if you can leverage some of the mental triggers, and the other mental trigger, I'll listen to audio and it's a mental trigger, but I will drink a full bottle of water. And that full bottle of water, A, your brain runs on water. B, if you drop a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt, which I do because your brain runs on salts, it does run on a lot of carbs as well, but it needs those salts to actually have that electrical function. That actually gets my brain going. And the physical and the mental contribute to the emotional. And even though the physical and mental lead everything, the emotional is the governor. Like on a car, you can set a governor in a car so it doesn't drive faster than 50 miles an hour. They do this in some rental cars and in corporate vehicles. The emotions are the governor on it. But you don't attack the emotions. You don't just say, hey, work on that happiness. No one can do that. No one does that. As Tony Robbins says, we think the psychological leads the physical only in so much as the emotional psychological limits what you're willing to do. I can't get out of bed. Psychologically, I'm too depressed. I can't get out of bed. Okay. And that way it looks like the psychological is leading the physical, but it is not. Physiologically, you do push-ups, walk around your house, not even the neighborhood. Walk around the house, drink water. I guarantee you'll move half a unit, 1 unit in your emotional state. Psychological does not lead the physical. Physiological lead the psychological. Tony Robbins is big on this. If you do not feel like getting up and doing your thing, go in the room and dance, shake, move, drink some water, do some push-ups, do some jumping jacks. I don't care if you haven't done a jumping jack in 20 years. Do your attempt. And I guarantee your state, aka your emotions, will shift. Don't wait for the emotions to change. Go change the emotions. Not because you attack the emotions head on, but because you attack the physical and then the mental. And then you go after it. And that, my friends, is what happened to me this morning. I woke up this morning. I know I typically do a Monday show and a Friday show. I know typically my Friday show is cryptocurrency. I didn't feel like it. I wasn't in my momentum. I was down on myself because of this 75 hard thing. And then life got busy. And then blame starts to get in. This person is limiting me because of this and that. But it's not true. I didn't get my workout in for transparency, but I did get up eventually, not at 3. I let myself sleep in. Then I got up. I got some water, got some exercise, stretched. And then I was sitting here minutes ago, thinking I'm not going to do the show. I'm not going to do the show. I booted all this up. I said, I'm still not going to do the show. I turned on the lights. I turned on my notes. Still not going to do the show. I walked around behind the camera right here. I walked around behind the camera and I did jumping jacks. And I said, do I need to connect with people? Do I need to share with them how I failed at 75 hard and what I'm going to do? Yeah, that's the journey. That's what Gary Vee says. Document the journey. I know these frameworks and I still get plagued. So I did my jumping jacks. I drank some water. I got a little bit of coffee. And I came around here and I said, okay, let's talk about what I'm looking at. I know these frameworks. Why don't I share them with people and then let people see my issue? And I was able to bring energy to the show. And now Billy's giving me a feedback loop. And I'm having a good time with the people coming in and out of the show. And now, guess what that's done to me physically? My endorphins are higher. Guess what that's done to me? Mentally. I can do it. I can push through. A pro, Stephen Pressfield says, a pro is at his best regardless. A pro is at her best regardless. Am I going to bring my A game today? No matter how I feel. I can control how I feel. So am I going to go do jumping jacks, do push-ups, eat right, drink right, go for a walk, listen to some audio? Am I going to find my physical triggers? And I encourage you, find your physical trigger that gets you back into state. Then find your mental trigger that compounds on top of that and let those lead to emotional triggers to get you back in state, to move the ding it up, to improve your state, to take the next level. I hope this has been helpful to you. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you wrap this week up so strong. And know that I am going to be out here, boom, putting together my 75. But why focus on these things? Because no matter what, there's someone out there that needs your encouragement. There's someone out there that needs you to be lifted up by you. So what is it all about? Say it with me. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.